My father told me that when he was a kid, that was no problem. My father told me that when he was a kid, his parents would just slap a name tag on him with an address on it, and they would just let him run out and run and play in the streets of Stockholm, and they would rest assured that someone else would see him home if he was lost. That is unthinkable today. Just to explore that trust. Can we find the trust in ourselves to enter a space of trust? That is basically the square. You can go into the square and you can ask people for help. Literally for help. You can ask people that pass by, you make contact with people, you ask them for help. Whatever. I mean, I'm having problems getting my driver's license, I can't understand this book, can you help me? Can you watch my dog while I go to the dentist? Can you watch my child while I go to the doctor? My father just died. I've got no one to talk to. Can you talk to me for half an hour? I need to talk about this. Something, anything. You can go, and it's absolutely all right. And people that walk by know that it's okay.
Styrkan med den här utställningen är också svagheten.
Okay.
Det är där vi har hamnat ganska mycket i våra diskussioner, och det sa vi sist också. Problemet är att vi har jobbat med någonting som är väldigt lätt att tycka om. Det är en missuppfattning, tror jag, att det är svårt att göra kommunikation på någonting som man inte gillar. Det är lätt att göra kommunikation kring någonting som man lätt tycker om.
Okay.
Det är helt fel. Och
det är ganska lätt att göra en övning. Om du går in på aftonbladet.se och läser de rubrikerna som är, så brukar man säga att 9 av 10 bygger på en negation, alltså på någonting obehagligt och läskigt. Det är så ser spelplanen ut.
Exakt.
Det är medielandskapet.
Det är sensation.
Globalt.
Exakt.
Det måste vi bara förhålla oss till. Man kan tycka att så här, men om vi bara gör en kampanj där alla är glada och leder kameran, eller en kampanj som sprider ett fint budskap som den här konstellationen kommer göra i sig, så har vi alltså en då 90% lägre chans att få en spridning rubrikmässigt. Hänger du med?
90%? Ja, det är då,
ja, men så ser bara, om vi ska rita upp spelplanen. Okay, så det är inte liksom det är inte att vi är cyniker och tycker att så här, vi ska göra saker som upprör eller skrämmer, eller det är inte någon, det finns ingen självande mål överhuvudtaget, men om vi börjar överens om spelplanen, så är den att så här, nya rubriker handlar om att IS har sprängt upp kulturhistoriska byggnader och en galen knivman i Hagaparken, och så ser rubriken ut. Just det har vi att jobba med.
Är det till det, eller?
Jag är bara här och hämtar det här paketet för min chef. Jag har ingen aning om vad du liksom...
Är det chef Ruben?
Jag behöver inte berätta någonting för dig.
Jo, är det chef Ruben?
Jag fattar inte varför du är så aggressiv. Du får lugna ner dig lite.
Hallå. Han gör det för mig.
Om du förklarar vad det är du vill, så kanske jag kan hjälpa dig. Annars har jag ingen aning om vad det är du håller på med.
Jag har fått så mycket skit tack vare dig och Ruben. Bara för att när jag skickade det här brevet nu, mina föräldrar tror att jag är tjuv. Jag vet inte vad.
Kender du området?
Ja, det är bara det almindelige boligkvarter, der er kejlproblem.
Okay.
Ja.
Så vi tager vi skriver en seddel.
Vi formulerer en trussel. Ja, vi formulerer en trussel.
Altså, kan man ikke bare starte med at formulere en, altså, må jeg få min telefon tilbage, eller skal det være...
Okay, helt ærligt, hvad hedder du? Sorry, men havde du tænkt dig? Sådan, hej, du tog min telefon, må jeg godt få den tilbage? Så, nej. Ja. Nej, det kan du sgu ikke.
Jamen,
ikke fordi jeg er ekspert, forstår du, men
men bliver de ikke, altså, den slags mennesker, vi har at gøre, nu er det forholdsvis fordom, altså, men jeg...
Den slags mennesker, det er bare en boligblok. Det er ikke...
I et bestemt område af byen, ikke også?
Jamen, det er ikke fordi, det er ikke Harlem i 80'erne, altså, det er jo bare en boligblok. Det er bare at skrive til folk, der prøver... Din kæmpe idiot, du tog min telefon, du fucker med det forkerte, jeg brænder bare...
Men prøv lige, hvad skal det hjælpe at kalde min idiot?
So how did you get involved with the square?
I got involved through a absolutely regular casting process. I was told to come to this casting by a Danish caster called Tanya Grunwald. And then it just went from there, really.
What were your reactions when you read the script?
Well, I didn't actually read the script at the beginning. I got into this. I went to the casting, and then I'd been asked to prepare the speech that I give in the museum to the audience about the art exhibition. I was asked to prepare that, so I'd prepared that, and then when I got to the casting, Ruben just sat me down, and he talked me through the whole film. I mean, from the end till from the beginning till the end, and then we sort of stopped here and there, and we improvised some of the scenes, and that's how I got to know about the whole story. And then I did sort of the speech that I prepared. I did that at the end of the casting. We did it. The first casting was probably 2 hours long or something. And then I did another casting and another, and then I got the part. So actually the speech that I prepared is actually almost exactly now as in the film as the thing that I came up with. So he kept that.
How well defined was your character then, and how much freedom did Ruben give you to
well, he
work
gives
with him?
you. I mean, he gives you, in a way, he gives you all the freedom in the world, and still, you know that he's after something quite specific. But getting there, he allows you a lot of space to get there. And also, I think he also allows you space in order to sort of perhaps, I mean, if I can come up with something that he hadn't thought of himself, if I could sort of surprise him, and I think that happened during the process as well, that I sort of came up with stuff that he was sort of, well, this is even better than what I'd written, so we'll keep that.
How is his working method? Because he does many takes.
Yes, he does. Yeah. So and he does probably something up to, I'd say, an average is probably 60 takes a day or something, and he's got a quite specific philosophy here, because he's like he works on I think he actually wants to sort of exhaust his actors. In a good way. I mean, in a way where you sort of where you lose yourself a little bit, or you lose your facade, or you lose your will or your consciousness, and you just go with the situation. That's what he wants to get at.
How would you define your character?
Well, how would I define him? Well, it seems to me that he's this very sort of idealistic guy living very much in his own head and his own world, because all these big ideas and ideals he has, he's not able to live up to them, is he? He actually goes and does something quite different in his private life than all these great things that he talks about in the museum.
The film is a lot about helping others, etc., and not helping. What do you think it says about society today?
Well, I think it comments on how we sort of behave in society today, in the sense that well, there's this quite specific thing in the film, where with the robbing at the beginning of it, and there's this bystander thing where you sort of, I mean, it's quite normal that you perhaps walk past someone in the street, even though you can see that person might be in need of help, and still it's probably just it's easier just to do your own thing. I mean, yeah.
So where do you think the film will go now? Will you travel all over the world with it?
Well, I'll try and go to as many openings as I can. I think it's going to open in the UK mid-August. It's going to open in Sweden the end of August, and then I think it's going to, and I'm going to try and see if I can be at as many openings as possible. Yeah.
Goodie.
Thank you.
Tack så länge.
Tack.
So that's a pleasure.
Sorry.
Yeah, Rob. So how did you end up in a film shooting in Sweden?
My agent sent me the script and said, "Would you want to go and audition with Ruben?" I was doing a film in England, so I went down to London, and met with him for about an hour, and we did a lot of improvisation, and he filmed it, and it was just me and him. And I thought that, you know, he probably wouldn't cast me, but I was a big fan of his, so it was really just cool for me to meet him. And then I got the part.
And you had seen Force Majeure before?
Yeah.
And the others as well, Involuntary and Play?
After. Yeah, after. I'd seen Force Majeure, but then after I got the role, he sent me short films and play, and yeah.
What was your reaction when you read the script?
I mean, I thought it was honestly so intelligent and sort of exactly what I wanted to see him do. You know, I know he was kind of trying to maybe do something even a little bit more beyond the normal thing that he does, and I loved it.
How is his working method? Because they say that he almost tries to exhaust his actors.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's intentional to exhaust them, but he does about average like 70 takes. You do one scene a day, you just do that scene all day. It's exhausting. It's very challenging. It really is kind of quite difficult, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. It's so fulfilling, and it's so challenges you as an actor to constantly be thinking, constantly be working.
Does it feel different for an actress coming from working in, I think, in America and other countries with big crews, and then coming to Sweden where we have a very small crews?
Very much so, very much so. My first day on set, I showed up and everything was so quiet. So quiet. Normally you're on a set with 100 people, and, you know, everyone's on their phones and talking and eating, and, you know, and this was so calm, so civilized. You could barely tell when we were shooting and when we were not shooting. It was just this really wonderful, calm atmosphere.
Did that affect the acting in any way?
I think it does, because there's a credible amount of concentration that's required with Ruben, because you're constantly trying things, you're constantly improvising, you're changing the scene all the time. So it really requires you to be very present. You know, you're not on your phone, you're not snacking in the corner, you're there. Once you arrive on set, after hair and makeup, you're there. That's it. You have lunch, then you come back, and you're there for 8 hours, you know? And so it's, I think it's a requirement to have things be calm and concentrated.
How would you describe your character?
She's an enigma, you know? She's sort of, I think she's very much enjoying her life. She's smart. She's feisty. She tests Christian and pushes him and pushes his buttons and pushes him to answer questions that he doesn't want to answer, and puts him in uncomfortable situations, and I think enjoys it.
Another class did some research into the art world. Did you do that as well?
No, I didn't have to. You know, my part was sort of more the personal side of his life. So I didn't have to, which was actually great, because she's not supposed to be necessarily a very good art journalist. So it was perfect for me, because I could act as sort of naive as I needed to be.
Do you think you're going to bring something with you from the experience of working with Ruben to other films that you're going to do in the future?
Yeah, one of probably the most important thing he asks of his actors is truthfulness and honesty, and that you constantly be trying to find the most truthful answer, the most truthful response. And he can tell if you're lying, he can tell if you're faking it. And I think that is essential in acting, and I hope to take that to everything I do. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much.
So I'll meet you soon at the Prince.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you. Are you on?
Yes, it's
okay.
rolling.
Rolling. How did the square start for you?
It started as an art project. When it was me and a friend of mine that wanted to create a symbolic place that should be put in the center of a city, that should remind us of our role towards our fellow citizens, and trying to lift the topics as trust and how we take care of each other in public spaces. And this art project actually became something that we then built in a city in Sweden called Värnamo. So in one of the squares in Värnamo they have built this symbolic place, and it had a 2-year celebration this year, and they have built 2 other of these symbolic places in Norway. So it started actually not as a movie. It started as this art installation idea.
And when did you start to sort of develop it into a film idea?
It was during when we were invited to do an exhibition on a design museum in Värnamo that is called Vandalorum in Sweden. And then I realized, I thought that the topic that the square or that this installation is raising was something that I wanted to turn into a feature film. Then I decided also to put the feature film into the art world, because I think there's a lot of things that you can criticize and look a little bit, how do you say, question when it comes to the art world. So yeah, practically 3 years ago or something, I started to write the script.
How would you do? I mean, when people talk about you, that's okay, he's a satire filmmaker. Do you look at yourself as a man making satires?
Yeah, I think a satire is I like what satire means. If you look up the word in a dictionary, it says that you take something that is contemporary and then you twist it a couple of times, and it's elegant and it's provocative. And it would be fantastic if my movies can be that.
How do you work with the actors? Because I say sometimes you take like 60, 70 takes, and they say that you try to exhaust them.
Yeah, it's not true that I take 60 or 70 takes. They exaggerate a little bit, I think. I think the average that we used this time maybe was 30 takes. But I would say that we have quite long time on set. So we have at least one shooting day on each and every scene. And that's important, because then we can evaluate what we are doing. If we are moving too quickly, then you just have to cover up the scene, and hoping for the material to be good enough to save it in the editing. So by having a lot of time on the set, then we can repeat. And when you are an actor and you are repeating a scene over and over again, then you have to have some stamina. You have to have the goal in your head that it's in the end of the day I should reach my maximum performance. And I think, for an example, like Elisabeth Moss and Dominic West, they are very used to having like 3 or 4 takes and that's it. So they have to, of course, get used to the kind of shooting that I'm using. And it took a couple of days for them to be able to save the energy to the end of the day, but I think it went really, really well in the end.
When you talk about Elisabeth Moss and Dominic West, this is the first film you've shot with a lot of dialogue in English. Did that propose a problem for you working on the set, etc., not being able to use Swedish all the time?
I was a little bit scared that I would lose the nuances in the acting, and that I wouldn't be able to use my instrument in the way I do when I'm directing actors in Swedish. But I quite quickly realized it was actually easier to direct in English than direct Claes that is speaking Danish. So I'm happy that I managed to do that, because I think I'm curious in maybe making a English language film in the next one. That it should maybe be in Scandinavian language anymore. We will see. But it was an obstacle, I thought, but it was possible to deal with it.
Do you have ideas for the next film already?
I have a couple of ideas, but the last films that we have premiered in Cannes, we have actually, like 2 or 3 days after a screening, we have went to a small restaurant that is in one of the back streets here. Me and my producer Erik Hemmendorf and my mentor, I would say, or friend Kalle Boman. And at that little table we have actually decided 2 of the upcoming projects. So we will try to go there tomorrow and see if we can find out what we're going to do in the future.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Kommer hit.
Okay.
First of all, why did you decide to place history in the world of contemporary art?
The whole project started with me and a friend of mine made this symbolic place, the square. this, yeah, you can call it an art piece or you can call it a humanistic traffic sign. This idea we exhibited on a design museum in Värnamo in Sweden, and at the same time I was working on a script with the same kind of thematics, so it felt natural, you know, to discuss the theme and the theoretical idea with the square when it was set in a contemporary art world. So it was basically because of that in the beginning. But I think that I like, you know, artificial environments in some way. I was in the ski resort in my previous film in Force Majeure, and now it's also a contemporary art world, the white cube. It's a very artificial environment, and that attracts me in some way.
Like your previous movie, there's a conflict between our instincts and our intellect. Tell me more about it.
I think that's really one of the most interesting dilemmas that the human being have to deal with. You know, we have been brought up in a culture, for example, if you look at Force Majeure, men have been brought up in a culture where we have learned that we should sacrifice ourselves for a country or for our family. But if you look at statistics, for example, on ferry catastrophes, you can tell that the one that survives are men and the one that dies are women and children. So in the moment that survival instinct, for example, is put in, culture is put out, and then we are like ending up in a conflict that is very specific for human beings, you know, that it's a dilemma, you know, we should save the family, but then we're going to die, and if we run away, then we're going to like have to face our own crushed self-image afterwards. So I guess that it's the conflict between the instinct and the civilized side of ourselves it's really pointing out the existential dilemma of being a human being, I think.
In the film you criticize the art world, the society, the family. The square is maybe a utopic world, or?
I don't see it as utopia. I see if we are going to have a society where we are equal and where we treat each other with respect and take care of each other, it's an ongoing struggle. It's something that we have to maintain all the time. And we will never reach utopia, but we can strive to get as close as possible to it. And it's not like, you know, I think my mother is she's left-wing, she's actually like a socialist, and when I was brought up, I think she almost talked about when a communistic society will exist, then we will be in utopia. And of course it's not like that. To maintain a society that is good is an ongoing struggle. And we can find out new ways of trying to reach a more equal society. And the square is just a suggestion, maybe that... Is anyone else had a better suggestion of how we should be reminded of these humanistic topics? Let's hear it. But right now I think it's a quite good suggestion.
You make fun of everyone. No one escapes from this satiric approach. You put the audience to a challenge every minute. Tell me about it.
I think one thing that I really like is when I'm going to the cinema and I have to like reflect on my own behavior, and I think that when you find the right kind of setup and situation, when it doesn't have any easy answers, then me as an audience, I have to like immediately go back to myself and ask, how would I behave? And very often, you know, I think that a lot of the movies is based on the idea of a protagonist and an antagonist, and the protagonist is the one that is standing for the right beliefs, and the antagonist is the enemy, the one that is standing for bad ideas. And it's a very simple way of describing life. Of course it's not like that. Of course it's more complex. And in order to, you know, create an understanding for why we do as we do, I really think that it's interesting to mirror back on the audience and make them ask questions.
Talk me about the performance artist who disrupts a gala dinner, and by behaving an ape. It's one of the awkward, bizarre and uncomfortable moments I've ever seen in cinema.
Thank you. From the beginning, I was inspired of, when it comes to that monkey performance artist, I was inspired by a punk rock musician that is called Gigi Allen, an American punk rock artist that was completely anarchistic. You know, he didn't follow any rules. He was beating up women, and you know, like anyone that was getting close to him on stage, they were in the risk zone, so to speak. And I was interested in, you know, having a gala dinner with people dressed in a tuxedo, and the aim of that scene and the aim of the film was that we should have premiere in Cannes. And if you are in competition in Cannes, you will have a tuxedo-dressed audience looking on another tuxedo-dressed audience, and then you let these performance artists in that don't have any civilized side. He only has instinct and needs.